Well, moving across now to one of our other top stories, the big debate on the show tonight is the controversial draft of the National Advisory Council's draft of the anti-communal violence bill. Now, some amendments, which some of the controversial points of the bill have actually been changed in this final draft. This included the centre using Article 355, which allows them, of course, to impose their version to take over control of administration if they felt the need was felt here. That was very controversial. That's been dropped. And also, again, a reference to damaging the secular fabric of the nation, that has also been dropped. But the most controversial bit, referring to groups as minorities, either religious or linguistic, all groups covered under this bill can only be minorities, either religious minorities or linguistic minorities. The BJP has strongly protested that, which leads to the question tonight, is the anti-communal bill anti-majority? Joining me on the show tonight, I'll be joined by the Minister for Minority Affairs, Mr. Salman Khurshid. I'll also be joined from the BJP by Shaina NC of the BJP. I'm also joined by Mr. Saxena of the National Advisory Council, and that will be our special debate on the show tonight. Let me go across first to the Minister of Minority Affairs, Mr. Salman Khurshid. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Sir, what's your first reactions to the charge that this bill discriminates against the majority?
Well, I think we should see it in the context to begin with till a bill actually comes to Cabinet and the Cabinet approves it in a particular form. It doesn't really make much sense for government ministers to be committing themselves one way or the other. It's a bill that's been made in the context of circumstances that people in this country were extremely distressed and disturbed about, and obviously it reflects that concern. But having reflected that concern, is there something more that's required in the bill? These are things that obviously will become apparent only when the bill is formally considered by Cabinet. And we'll see then what position is taken. Clearly, the understanding is that the ordinary law of the land is available to every citizen as it is. But because they found that the ordinary law was not adequately addressing the concerns of vulnerable groups, therefore, an attempt has been made to provide them with that additional protection.
Let me just go across to Shaina NC from the BJP who joins us on this. Shaina, you've been listening to what Mr. Salman Khurshid has to say. Do you feel this bill is anti-majority? Mr. Khurshid makes the point it has to go to the Cabinet, it has to be cleared. Do you think that's enough? Do you think that there'll be enough safeguards? Or do you think the bill in this form is anti-majority?
I think this bill is the draft is definitely anti-majority. When one talks about a group, here you're defining a linguistic, religious minority and in some cases scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. The draft bill goes on to say that any atrocity that is committed by the majority community can be addressed. And what happens in vice versa cases? One suggestion which has come, which is that the state takes on issues of law and order as is in the Constitution. And there you have the centre saying that now we will take charge of all kinds of situations. And to my mind, this is not just discriminatory, it is definitely biased. We're in the 21st century where an offence is an offence.
Why should it matter minority or majority? Well, I'm just going to bring in Shaina, Mr. Saxena, who is here with me, a member of the National Advisory Council, which cleared the draft of this bill. Mr. Saxena, react to what Shaina NC is saying. Because
in fact, this bill, as everyone knows, is going to protect scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, linguistic minorities. So UPites, Biharis in Maharashtra or Bengalis in Assam or in Meghalaya, they would be protected.
So it's not Hindu versus Muslim as the BJP is portraying it.
Therefore, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and migrants who speak a different language, because these are the people against whom there has been violence and the majority community has been supported by the local police. It is also going to protect religious minorities. Now you can understand the implication and the rationale of this bill only when you look at the figures. What has happened in the last 40 years, who has been the victim
oppressor
and who has been the oppressor. I would give you some figures because I have studied a large number of riots in India.
Yes.
Look at Ahmedabad in 1969. 24 Hindus were killed, but 430 Muslims were killed. Look at Muradabad of 1980. Against 18 Hindus, 142 Muslims were killed. In Jamshedpur in 1979, Against 12 Hindus, 135 Muslims were killed.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone. Fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.